Welcome back, everybody, to the YouTube channel, man. And today we're going to be talking about these two scary teams that have arisen, and a lot of people are talking about them, and they had some very good wins, and they have had, pretty solid, good 3 games that a lot of people are talking about these teams potentially, being a playoff team. So let's talk about it. So the first team at hand is the Oklahoma Sooners. They are 3-0, and they played UTEP week 1, right? So UTEP is 1-3 right now, but they beat them 45-13. That's a good win. Obviously, some things they had to work on. Then they go into Kent State, 33-3, struggled in the first half, but which I'll tell y'all about in a minute. Something they were doing is very interesting. And then they go into week 3. Last weekend, they beat Nebraska 49-14, absolutely curb stomped them, and maybe not even want them to play a football game the rest of the year. That's how bad they beat them. And Nebraska hasn't been beat that bad in a minute. So it was very surprising of that result. And, the thing about the Kent State game, so people were talking about that they looked like they struggled quite a bit. So according to the offensive coordinator of the Oklahoma Sooners, Jeff Lebby, who has came over, obviously, with that new staff, with Brent Venables and stuff, they held back a lot. They said very vanilla offense, very vanilla defense. So what people think in that first half is there was a lot of vanilla, and then they started opening up a little bit when they saw they were struggling. I can see that because, they basically scored 33 points basically in a half. They scored 7 at the end of the second quarter. It was about to be halftime, and they hit Marvin Mims down the sideline. So they basically they scored 25 straight points in the second half. Really good. I expect them to continue to be better. And I'm just looking at their current schedule. They have Kansas State this weekend. Oklahoma's favorite to win, obviously. It's at 7 o'clock. Big game for them, and this is really their first kind of test. I know Nebraska, people said that was their first kind of test. I think this game, with that defense and this offense, is the first test for the Sooners. I really believe that. They do have TCU next week, and then the Red River rivalry. Texas and OU is going to be, I think that's going to be a really big game this year. One of the bigger games always, but it's going to have a little bit more impact to it, I feel like. So yeah, that Kansas State game, it's interesting, man. Kansas State's a heavy run team. They're going to come in and run the ball well. And, Jeff Lebby, he's going to try to run the ball, RPO, quick pass, stuff like that to try to really get Kansas State moving on that secondary, really get those linebackers to stay still, because they want to freeze them so you can get those passing lanes on the outside, maybe a slant. You always want to freeze and make them second guess if you're going to run the ball, pass the ball. It works really well for them. A lot of that Baylor, 2014 vibes team, 2013 and stuff. But yeah, I think this is their biggest test defensively. Kansas State has a great defensive line. Their secondary, I believe, has 7 interceptions this year. They're impressive right there. So they're a ball-hawking secondary. So you got to make it, since this team's so ball-hawky, you probably want to hit them with, double moves, stuff like that, to really get them to jump at stuff. And we'll see how that goes down. But for the defense, Kansas State has one of the best run games in the country with Deuce Vaughn, Adrian Martinez. You kind of want to force Adrian to make throws, force him into third downs and 8, 9s, and really make him throw the football. I know he's capable of it, but if you consistently put them in those situations, I think you'll look really good on defense, because I don't think Adrian, if there's a guy that you want to beat you, if you're dang, we lost the game because of that guy, it's Adrian Martinez. Because, now I'm not saying he's bad, but his throwing ability isn't the best. I think most people know this from when he was at Nebraska. So if you have to get him, if you're going to get beat by that dude, because there's a low chance that he get beat by him in the passing game, I'm going to be honest. I expect the Oklahoma Sooners, they looked really good. I know people are talking about in the playoff, but we want to continue to see tests. after test after test to see how they are. We'll really know about this Oklahoma team once we get to Texas, and that'll be interesting. We'll get to know about Texas as well, so that'll be really interesting. And then they had the Jayhawks right after, which is no slouch, 3-0. Looked really good so far this year, which is crazy to say. I'm riding this Oklahoma wave. I think they're a really good team. I think they hit a lot, and they showcased it on Saturday versus Nebraska. And I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, you should have some higher hopes that maybe you would have thought going into the year, because they look like a really good football team, at least in that Nebraska game. But from a good team, if you're a championship level team, and everyone knows this, you talk to all these great coaches, you have to show a level of consistency. You beat them 49-14. Let's show consistency, and let's get better too while you're at it. So consistently showing what they're doing and consistently getting better throughout the year, that would be really scary if that's the case, man. Really scary. So the next team we have on the list is USC, the Trojans, man. They have looked impressive offensively. I think they kind of had the concerns we would think they would have defensively. They played Rice week 1, beat them 66-14. They did beat Stanford 28-42 in their second game, and that's where people really saw them kind of go. Really good game from USC right there. Then they went and beat Fresno State, which people thought maybe give them a little bit of a test. No, the quarterback kind of got hit out of the game, so Fresno State, he really stood no chance after that. It was 21-10 for a long time, but of course the game it was. But they have Oregon State this week, 8:30 game. Do I think they'll really get tested in this game? Probably not. I don't know how much better Oregon State is than, a Stanford, but USC schedule is really easy, man. I can't even lie. Like, one of the easier schedules in the country when you look at it. I mean, they're 7th ranked team in the country by the AP, but they have they have Oregon State, Arizona State, Washington. Then they have the test at Utah, which I don't know how that's gonna go for them, but Utah's gonna look for some vengeance, and they do have UCLA, who didn't really look too pleasing. I think they played Liberty. Yeah, it's at the Rose Bowl. They got Arizona, California, Colorado, Notre Dame. I mean, unless they would have to lose a bad one to, the only game I could really see them, Notre Dame could beat them. I feel like, they show up offensively. Maybe they can beat them. I don't know. It's tough to say. It really is. But yeah, they look good on offense. I'm still skeptical about their defense when they face a good offense or have playmakers. Utah, just like Texas and stuff, I think OU has a lot better test than USC does. But they do have Utah, so I think that'll be their first test of the year. I'm very interested to see this USC team, how they're going to continue to move through the schedule, because it's easy, but you never know. There could be that one game. Arizona State could come in there at the Coliseum and beat them. So you never know, because Arizona State, they lost Herm Edwards, and they may be motivated or something, but I don't see it really happening. Washington State's a sneaky game that they could maybe lose. Don't sleep on that. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see both of these teams, but they kind of made headlines this last weekend. Really excited to see both of them. And that'll be it for me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.